Every morning, the ritual was the same. The chime of the cafe door, the familiar aroma of roasted beans and steamed milk, the low hum of conversation. And for Mark, the same order. Cappuccino, please. With the heart. He'd take it to his usual table, the small one by the window, a perch from which he watched the world hurry by. His gaze, however, wasn't fixed on the general flow of pedestrians. It waited for a specific punctuation mark in the morning rush. A flash of crimson. The girl in the red coat. Every day, like clockwork, she'd pass his window. Always heading in the same direction, always clutching a takeaway coffee cup from somewhere else, always seemingly lost in her own thoughts, unaware of the silent observer tracking her brief transit across his windowpane view. Mark knew nothing about her name, her destination, the thoughts behind her focused expression. He only knew the color of her coat and the quiet pang of longing her fleeting presence evoked. The heart shape traced in the foam of his cappuccino felt like a silent, foolish wish aimed in her direction. He imagined conversations, scenarios where their paths might cross. A dropped scarf, a shared glance over a delayed bus. But she never deviated, never paused, never even glanced towards the cafe window where he sat nursing his coffee and his quiet fascination. Then, one gray, drizzly morning, the unexpected happened. The chime of the cafe door sounded, and Mark looked up from his cappuccino, expecting a familiar local or a hurried commuter. Instead, she stood there. The girl in the red coat. Shaking droplets from her shoulders, pulling off damp gloves, looking slightly flustered by the weather, her usual takeaway cup nowhere in sight. She'd actually come inside. Mark's heart gave an unfamiliar lurch. He quickly looked back down at his cup, pretending to be absorbed, even as his pulse quickened. He could hear her ordering at the counter, a simple black coffee this time. He risked a glance. She looked different inside, closer, more real than the fleeting image framed by the window. She paid, turned from the counter with her fresh cup, and headed towards the door. But perhaps distracted by the rain, or juggling her gloves, her foot caught slightly on the leg of an empty chair. A sudden jolt. A gasp. And the dark liquid erupted from her cup, arcing through the air, landing with a startling splash right across Mark's small table, narrowly missing him but soaking his napkin, his saucer, and the worn wooden surface. A liquid catastrophe. Silence fell for a beat, broken only by the hiss of the espresso machine. Mortification bloomed on her face. "Oh my God. I am so sorry," she stammered, fumbling for napkins, her cheeks flushing as red as her coat. "I'm so clumsy, I wasn't looking. I'll get you another one, right away." Mark looked at the dark bloom spreading across his table, then up at her flustered, apologetic face. This was it. Not a dropped scarf, but a deluge of coffee. The unexpected opening he'd only dreamed of. He felt a surprising calm settle over him. "It's okay," he said, managing a reassuring smile. "Really? Accidents happen." He watched her continue to dab ineffectually at the spill. She started to turn back towards the counter to order his replacement. "Wait," Mark said, stopping her. She paused, looking back at him, still flustered. "You don't have to buy me another coffee," he continued, his voice steady, holding her gaze. "But I'll accept your offer on one condition." She looked puzzled. "Condition?" "Yes," Mark said, gesturing towards the empty chair opposite him. "Only if you stay and drink it with me." The request hung in the air. Her surprise was palpable. She looked from the spilled coffee, to the empty chair, then back to Mark's hopeful, steady gaze. The drizzle continued outside the window. The cafe hummed around them. A moment stretched, filled with the aroma of coffee and the potential of a shared cup. Their ritual, the one Mark had conducted alone for so long, was about to change. Coffee for one, by the window, was perhaps, finally, becoming coffee for two.